Hello everybody, my name is Alexander Kazina and I would like to cordially invite you to the season finale of Kozibear's Cooking Season 3. This is, of course, the weekly cooking show here on twitch.tv/KozibearLive, where I cook up all manner of international and unusual dishes for your eyeballs and ear holes to enjoy and my lips to savor. Today, for the conclusion of Kozibear's Cooking Season 3, I am going to be making sea salt ice cream. Of course, this is a traditional ice cream dish featured throughout the years in the Kingdom Hearts series. I believe it debuted in Kingdom Hearts 2, and then it kind of featured a little bit more prominently in Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, which was on the DS, and then in every kind of subsequent game it's made like a cameo appearance here and there. I don't remember where it appeared in Kingdom Hearts 3, but it definitely appeared there. Just to give you an example of what it is that we are going to be making today. So this is sea salt ice cream in bar form. We are not going to be making it in bar form. We are going to be making it in just normal scoopable ice cream form. If you search online, there are a lot of other people that have made sea salt ice cream from the Kingdom Hearts series already. So this is certainly not a utterly unique dish that we're going to be making today. However, I have some fun little ideas presentation-wise, excuse me for the burp, as to how we can make it stand out that I'm excited to guide you along with. All right, well, without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start by preparing the main kind of dish of the dish that we're going to be making, which is going to be the sea salt ice cream, and then slowly but surely I will introduce the other ways that we will be making this dish a little bit more unique. So the recipe for the sea salt ice cream we're going to be making today comes courtesy of food.com. This is a recipe by Kurata. To make this particular dish, we are going to need 2 eggs, 2 cups of milk, a third of a cup of sugar, which I have right here. We are going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We are going to need 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, which is in the fridge, along with the milk and eggs. We're going to need some sea salt, which I have right here, of course, because this is sea salt ice cream after all. And finally, a little bit of blue food coloring and green food coloring, which we have used on this channel quite a few times in the past. In addition to that, I also have some dark chocolate melting wafers. I have some yellow chocolate melting wafers. I have some gold sprinkles, and I have some stroopwafels. Exactly how I'm going to use all these things, well, you'll have to wait to find out. Looking around the kitchen, I'm beginning to realize that I actually have... Oh, here we go. I was really concerned for a second that somebody had taken and eaten these without my permission. I also have some licorice sticks, which will also be factored into what we're going to be making today. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on the ice cream first. First step is we're going to need to separate the eggs into 2 good-sized bowls. So we have egg whites in one of them, and then the egg yolks in the other. Egg whites will go in this one, egg yolks will go in that one. Let's bring in our counter view. Let's see, here we go. We'll be using this to help beat our eggs, although we're going to wait just a second before we start doing that. So recipe instructions say beat the egg whites until stiff and then mix the egg yolks and sugar until thick. We're going to measure out our sugar first. However, before we begin beating up and separating our eggs, we are going to do step number 4, which is to slowly bring the milk to a boil over medium heat, stirring occasionally. Let's go ahead and let's bring our, never mind. I originally was going to have the stove cam this time around for this stream, but because we're mostly just going to be boiling milk over the stove, I decided I don't really think that this is really going to be worth it. It's also going to be just really hard to see, and also I was having technical difficulties with the stove camera. So no stove cam this time. Maybe you'll see it once again in season 4 if I can find a less finicky way to operate it. Okay. As you can see right here, we have plain 2% milk. I may or may not have done a rehearsal of this recipe ahead of time, and I used lactose-free milk during this hypothetical rehearsal. And I decided based on that maybe I should do non-lactose-free milk. Okay, that's cup number 1. And cup number 2. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to heat that burner to medium heat, and we are going to kind of keep a close eye on it. We are supposed to get it to a boil and stir it occasionally, so we don't really want to overdo it. For now, I'm going to put the 2% milk back in the fridge. Okay. While that's happening, let's go ahead. I said I would measure out the sugar first, but I guess we can do that later. Let's go ahead and let's grab our eggs. Egg number 1, egg number 2. Okay. I've done this quite a few times by now, but I occasionally do make mistakes, so please bear with me as I carefully try to separate the yolks from the whites. Again, we're not going to separate all the yolks from the whites. I think this is about as much as we can do. All right, perfect. And it just cracked open as we did that, so we kind of got lucky. I was kind of hoping they wouldn't have put Jackie the Cat's bowls in the sink just before I started my stream. It's okay, I can move those bowls temporarily out of the sink. All right, egg number 2, let's go. Come on, come on, come on, little one. Okay, and that is yolk number 2, which also just cracked. That taken care of. Let's do our first hand wash of the stream. I don't know what the deal is with that particular soap dispenser. Okay, let's just quickly check up on our milk. Milk seems to be doing okay. It's still in the process of heating up, so we'll have to give it some more time. Okay, let's go ahead and let's mix up our sugar and egg yolks first. Just to reconfirm, I believe that we need 1/3 of a cup of sugar. Yep, we need exactly that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna measure that out. A little bit too much. Let me just pour a little bit back. Do I need to add a little bit more? Yep, there we go. We're good. All right. I'm gonna keep this clean for the time being, and I'll mix this up with this fork. It's going to look real shaggy at first, but eventually the mixture of yolk and sugar will become nice and smooth. Let me just package up our thing of sugar. I don't think we're going to need to use this anymore, actually. We definitely won't need it when we're preparing some of the other ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this back in the cupboard from whence it came. All right. Let's mix up our milk a little bit more. Check that it's doing good. Yeah, it seems like it's doing okay. Okay, I think our yolks and our sugar are more or less pretty well mixed. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that over to the side over here. Next up, we got to beat our egg whites until nice stiff peaks form. So let's go ahead and let's get that on the road. It's kind of amazing, to be honest, watching egg yolks turn from this like very like thin, almost watery substance into this sort of like foamy, very kind of stiff substance. Very impressive. They're definitely very foamy now, but they're not very stiff. We'll need to continue doing it for a little bit longer. All right, now I'm at the maximum speed that this thing allows for. You can very slightly can begin to see like stiff peaks just beginning to form, but it's not quite stiff just yet. Give it just a little bit more time. All right, getting there. We're very close. It's starting to become a lot stiffer than how it was previously. Just need to wait a little bit more, and we will get it exactly where we need it to be. The milk is not yet bubbling yet, so we're good in that regard too. All right, I think we're good with regards to our egg whites. That looks pretty stiff to me. Okay, let's check up on our milk. Our milk continues to smoke, but we're not quite yet at boiling levels. Let's go ahead and let's check up on our recipe again. So we separated our eggs into two good-sized bowls. We beat the egg whites until they became stiff. We mixed our egg yolks and sugar until it formed a nice thick little paste. And of course, we are slowly bringing our milk to boil over medium heat, stirring it occasionally. After our milk reaches a boil, the plan is to pour the hot milk into our yolk sugar mixture and to mix it well. And then after that, we will pour our milk yolk sugar mixture back into the same pot and heat it over medium until it is thicker so that we can make a custard. The recipe instructions are very specific in stating that we do not want it to boil. And also, if you can't get it to a custard-like thickness, just get it as thick as you can. That's its words, not mine. Then after that, we are going to pour our custard in with the beaten egg whites over here and mix well. Then we add our sea salt. The recipe instruction is very specific in stating that we want to keep adding salt until it tastes salty sweet, but be careful not to add too much. Then we put the mixture in the fridge to cool. Once it is cool, we take it out. We add cream and vanilla. And then, of course, we can add a little bit of blue food coloring and green food coloring. It says that we want to add 12 drops of blue and 3 drops of green food coloring, so like 80-20. Although I don't know if we'll be able to measure out exactly that much. Then we are going to freeze it following our ice cream maker's instructions. We're actually not going to be using the ice cream maker for this particular batch because I may or may not have used the ice cream maker a little bit earlier when I made the first batch. Let's go ahead, make a little bit of space, and just very slowly begin preparing a little bit of what we're going to do with the chocolate. So as you can see, I have a nice bag of dark chocolate here meant for melting purposes. What I'm thinking is I have these waffle bowls over here. I actually previously used these waffle bowls when I made the Nick Scarpino ice cream back during season 2 of Kozibear's Cooking back in 2021. And our milk is almost at boiling point. So I'll be dealing with that in just a second. What I'm thinking is that I'm actually going to dip one of these waffle bowls into the melted chocolate so that it has a nice chocolatey coating. But while I will slowly begin to get this ready, I think we're going to want to be careful with our milk because it is just almost at boiling point. There's a lot of packaging inside this package. I really want to make sure that the bowls don't accidentally like get cracked or whatever. There we go. That's one bowl. All right, let's check up on our milk. Oh, yep, our milk is boiling. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to lower the temperature a little bit. And I'm going to take this off heat. I'm also going to turn on the fan. All right. Current plan of action is that we have to mix this in with our yolk and sugar mixture. So let's go ahead and let's do exactly that. And we are going to mix till we got ourselves a nice cohesive mixture. Unfortunately, it does not look quite as yellow as it did previously, but that's okay. All right, looks pretty good, looks pretty cohesive. Now we're going to pour it back into the pot that it was previously inside of. And once we've gotten everything in there, we're going to put it back over heat over the same burner as before, back at medium heat like such. And again, we're going to monitor it very closely. Again, the instructions say we don't want it to come to a boil. We just want to heat it over medium until it becomes thick as if it were a custard, or at least something that is as close to the custard thickness as we can get it. I'm going to turn off the fan because the thing is no longer emitting any steam at the moment. So yeah, we're just going to very kind of carefully monitor this thing, make sure that it is becoming thicker by the minute as we kind of go about and continue to work on our things over on the main counter. Again, sorry to everybody that tuned in today hoping to see what the stovetop would look like. Again, the stovetop camera wasn't really being cooperative, and also it was this thing where it was like, there's not really a whole lot to see because of how white the mixture looks like. So next time. I realize, obviously, we have our bowl and chocolate situation to work out. However, we also actually have a bunch of wheel spins that we need to deal with. At the end of my previous stream, a whole bunch of people followed and subscribed at the very last moment. We have a total of 5 people that we have to give wheel spins for. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's do one of those wheel spins. 1, 2, 3. Animals are dumb. This is where I talk for 2 minutes about why your favorite animal or your least favorite animal is indeed as dumb as you hate it for. If anybody in the chat wants to recommend what this animal of our contention should be, by all means, let me know. If not, I will ask my Echo to name a random animal for me. So the offer's on the table. Blurt out in the chat whatever animal you so want me to talk smack about, if you've got one in question. If you don't, it's a-okay. We will figure things out as we go. Let me just, I realize that it might actually be worthwhile to have a plate that we can put anything that we're going to dip in chocolate on. And on top of that plate, we should probably have some parchment paper so that the chocolate doesn't dip onto the plate and cause the thing in question to kind of fuse to the plate. So let's do that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask ye old Echo what animal we're talking smack about. Echo, name a random animal. I don't think it heard me. Echo, name a random animal.
Here is an animal, a Vespula germanica.
A Vespula germanica. I have no clue what that is. Oh shit, hold on a second. Our custard is beginning to boil, which is not what we wanted. I'm just going to remove it from heat real quick. We do not want this thing to boil, so I'm going to just temporarily remove it from heat for a second. Yeah, I will continue to, I'll do our talk about the Vespula germanica while I continue to monitor our custard, which again, we want to monitor very closely. All right. Echo, set a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to talk to you for 2 minutes about why the Vespula germanica is one of the worst animals on this planet, an animal so worthy of your ridicule that I don't even know, and I doubt nobody else knows exactly what this thing is. However, as I talk about the Vespula germanica, I actually have to very closely monitor this custard that I'm making over the stove so it does not boil and potentially produce a lot of like little egg bits in the mixture. I'm actually not certain why it is, and I'm not supposed to let it boil. In any case, that's the situation here. All that to say, I honestly could give 2 rats' asses about what the hell the Vespula germanica is at this very moment. You know, whenever I ask my Amazon Echo to name these random animals for me to talk smack about, it usually will show like a small little image on screen to let me know, oh, okay, this is the animal in question that I chose for you. I cannot make heads or tails what the Vespula germanica was supposed to be. It looked to me like some kind of flower. And to be honest, like from the name Vespula germanica, I would not be surprised if it actually is a flower, but I specifically did ask it to name a random animal, and when it named Vespula germanica, it specifically did say, yes, this is an animal, so I don't really know what's going on here, if I gotta be perfectly 100% honest. Oh, custard's coming along real nicely. You know, I feel like if the Vespula germanica is actually a real animal and not just a collective figment of our imaginations and of the Amazon Echo intranet, I bet you that the Vespula germanica would probably just freaking hate custard. It probably would just throw that shit into a pot that's been boiling for 40 hours and just watch it evaporate gleefully into the air. And you know what? That really sucks. I think that everybody out there on this planet Earth, you got to go ahead and you got to appreciate the beautiful cooking that other people provide for you. And so for that reason, the Vespula germanica sucks. All right. And that is that. Echo, turn off the timer. I didn't mention this earlier when I was first spinning the wheel. Unfortunately, I don't have any more Pokemon cards to open on today's stream. So if the wheel of causality should land on the Pokemon card time space, we're just going to go ahead and respin it so that we can get something else. It's a little unfortunate because I quite enjoy opening up Pokemon card packs on stream, and we've gotten a couple of like pretty good Pokemon card packs as of late, but again, that'll just be something for Season 4 to look forward to at Season 4 of Kozibear's Cooking. Much like the stove cam. I can already feel the mixture over the stove becoming gradually a little bit more custard-like, but it's not quite there. So earlier on, I showed you that I had some stroop waffles. I was thinking of doing the same thing with the stroop waffles with the waffle bowls, where basically I want to dip these things into chocolate as well, but I was thinking that it could be cool if like I only dip them halfway into chocolate, so only like half of the ears, as it were, are covered in chocolate. I think I kind of tipped my hat there as to what exactly I have in store for this stream, but I won't fully reveal everything just yet. Every time that I come over to the pot, there's a little like bubble boiling up, and I gotta kind of quickly interfere with my spoon and be like, nope, 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 not yet, no boil, no boil. I know that like tools exist that allow you to like automatically like mix pots that are over the stove so that they are prevented from boiling. I realize that I probably could invest in that, but considering how seldomly I have to do something like this, I don't really know if it would be that worthwhile. Okay. The one problem with the stroop waffles is, unfortunately, a lot of them are like partially damaged, and in ways that like it's not the biggest deal in the world because I can always just like take those damaged parts and like shove them into the sides of the ice cream I'm going to be making. So it's not like they'll probably be easy to hide, but it's a little unfortunate. These things, by the way, the stroop waffles that I was just taking out, really good. Like, so good, I actually ate 2 of them ahead of today's stream, even though I was not supposed to. Not that like anybody else in my household really cares, but I was planning on just saving them for the stream and just eating whatever leftovers were available afterwards. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead, like I'm probably gonna dip 4 of these into chocolate. Probably. I think that will probably make the most sense. Now, I don't know how many of these dark chocolate wafers I'm gonna need to melt all at once to kind of accomplish what I'm trying to do. I should probably taste a couple of them, actually. They're not as dark in taste as I was expecting them to be. They almost taste like when you buy like Nesquik, like dark cocoa, like milk chocolate powder. Like there's still quite a bit of sugar content to them. But ultimately I think that they kind of, they accomplish what they're going for. So I can't really complain that much. See, what I'm wondering is, I think that I should probably just go ahead and like melt all of them all at once, because like I don't really see the advantage in like having some left over. Let me bring the counter camera in, by the way, just to give you a better view of what I'm dealing with. The mixture over the stove is definitely getting thicker, although it's not quite custardy just yet. But I'll continue to cook it for a little bit longer. When I did my rehearsal, it took a fair bit of time, but I kind of took my time heating it up. Whereas this time around, I'm kind of like going much more immediately to the heat that I need. We'll see where we're at in like 5 minutes. Now, these yellow chocolate pieces, I actually was originally planning on using for the purpose of making eyes. However, I actually forgot that I had some yellow sparkle gel. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna see like which ones ultimately look a little bit better on the creation I'm gonna be making. Maybe the sparkle gel will look better. If not, I think I'll probably like cut pieces of these for the purpose of what I need them for. Let me just grab a small little cutting board, because I realize that either way I'm probably going to need a small little cutting board for when I get to that part that's going to involve the yellow things. So I'll just have that over there, ready for when we get to that point. It's currently 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I am right now. Sorry, my mistake. It's 4:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The reason why I said 4:45 is because my plan is when it does get to 4:45, I'm gonna check up on the custard, see how thick this thing is, and if I feel like it's thick enough, I'm gonna proceed to the kind of next step in our culinary creation process. There we go. All right. Just gonna temporarily close this thing because again, these things are really tasty and I don't wanna accidentally gorge too much on them before I'm supposed to. So originally when I concepted this ice cream creation, my thought was that I could sprinkle gold dust on it, like edible gold dust. Because you know, that's like a very kind of Kingdom Heartsy, Disney-ish thing you can imagine them doing. I forgot ahead of time to buy some gold dust online, which is, by the way, like not actually that expensive. But because of that, I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the Bulk Barn, which is the store that I get a lot of my ingredients for on these streams, and I'm just gonna buy some like gold colored, like sparkly dust there. This is not quite as vibrant as if it were actual gold dust, but it's close enough. It's enough of the effect that I'm going for that I don't think people will particularly mind. Now, full disclosure, I've actually not tasted these particular pieces of licorice, which I'm going to be putting on the ice cream creation I'm going to be making today. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to have one. I want to leave as many of these on the side because what I'm doing with them might be a little bit tricky and I might need to have a lot of spares. Now these things are really tough, which I mean I think is good because I'm going to need to like twist and bend them every which way when I eventually get around to using them, but they don't make for a very good eating experience is my point. But that might also be because I don't know, maybe I didn't store them properly. All right, just about 2 more minutes and we'll see whether or not our custard is ready. It's looking like it's gonna be ready. Yeah, this stuff is really, really tough, real gamey. I'm just gonna throw the rest of this in the compost. Okay. Let's go ahead, let's do another wheel spin. Whatever the wheel lands on, we'll do it after we, oh, whoopsies. I made a little bit of a mistake in terms of the number of wheel spins I have at the bottom there. All right, let's do this. Should have 3 left after I do this. Bionicle book time, perfect. Okay, so after I deal with the custard and I mix it into our egg whites, I will read a little bit from Bionicle Chronicles #1, The Tale of the Toa. There we go. Yeah, so it's not like absolutely thick. It's not like a straight up pudding, but I think this is around as custardy as we wanted to get it. I think that this is gonna work just fine. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn off the heat on the burner. Let's just temporarily move these things out of the way. Temporarily, I'll put this on the cutting board. It's like a makeshift hot plate. And yeah, the recipe instructions from here are pretty straightforward. We need to pour our custard in with the beaten egg whites and to mix it well. So let's go ahead and let's do exactly that. So a little bit of detritus over there at the bottom of the thing that I don't think we're gonna mess with really. We really need to make sure that we mix this thing well, so prepare for some vigorous mixing over the course of the next couple of minutes. You know, let's get a little bit of help from our old mixer to really help blend this thing together. Just a little bit. Okay, looks a little bit foamy, but we can always like skim off the foam later on, I should have said later on, using some other cooking utensils that we have at our disposal. Okay, perfecto. So now that we've mixed all this stuff in, our next step is we gotta mix in a little bit of our salt. So real simple, the idea is that we gotta put in little bits of salt at a time, and then we'll mix it, we'll taste it to see how salty sweet it tastes, and then we'll either add a little bit more salt or stop while we're ahead. Let me just add a little bit more salt. That had a nice tang, a nice salty kind of tang to it. I know saltiness and tanginess are two different types of flavors, but I hope you understand what I'm getting at. Okay. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's good. I think any more salt and we might be overdoing it a little bit. So I think I'm gonna stop there while I'm ahead. All right, and after we have added our salt, we got to put our mixture in the fridge to cool. In the rehearsal that I may have hypothetically done for this ahead of time, I found that I needed like a good half an hour, if not more, to really kind of let it cool down. So it's going to be in there for a little while. All right, let's go ahead. Let's just put this thing over here near the stove. This is how we don't need that pot anymore. And we'll also unplug this and put the little mixer things by the stove as well. Okay, let's go ahead and let's read a little bit from Bionicle Chronicles #1. Chapter 9 in Bionicle Chronicles #1, Cool as Ice. With every step, Kopaka cursed the heat, smoke, and choking ash of Tawahi. Why did a mask of strength have to be hidden in such a place? He had no idea, and he hoped that the Matoran who had given him the tip had not led him astray. Pausing as another wave of heat overwhelmed him, Kopaka raised his ice blade to his neck, letting its welcome coldness revive him. How could anyone spend any time on this infernal volcano, let alone live there? An image of Tahu floated through his mind, and he grimaced. If the Toa of Fire could see him now, he would probably laugh his mask off. Of course, I'd like to see Tahu trying to get along in Kowahi, Kopaka thought. He'd probably melt a hole in a glacier and spend so much energy yelling at the ice that he couldn't climb out. The thought amused him, giving him the strength to get moving again. After a few more minutes of climbing, he crested a peak and found himself overlooking an amazing landscape. He knew it had to be what he was looking for, the lava lagoon. After a few more minutes of climbing, he crested a peak and found himself overlooking an amazing landscape. Whoops, I think I reread the same thing twice. Hello to Hazel Tari. Yes, this is Bionicle Chronicles #1. Sorry, I was quite deeply lost in thought reading through this book. I didn't notice your chat quite so right away. Thank you for tuning in. Let's pick back up where we were. Several of the slopes of the mountain met there, forming a deep, broad basin filled with lava. At least 200 lengths across, the simmering lagoon glowed yellow and red and orange. A waterfall of lava poured into the far end, sending up constant sprays of steam and smoke. Kopaka looked around, wondering where in this bubbling wasteland a mask might be hidden. He then noticed a small, craggy island jutting out of the center of the lagoon. Was the heat making him see things, or was that gray shape of a Kanohi mask sitting on the island? He groaned. Why couldn't the mask have been guarded by another Rahi instead? Or 2, or 12? And that is where we are going to leave Bionicle Chronicles #1 for now, until we so happen to spin it on the prize wheel of causality yet again. Okay, so our ice cream mixture is currently resting in the fridge. It will need to be there for about maybe a half hour, maybe more, while we let it cool down so that we can move on to the next parts of its creation. While it's doing that, we could get a head start on preparing our chocolate dips for our various waffle-like things that we have over here, or we could get around and do a round of snacks and collation, which is of course where we taste all manner of international goods here on Kozibear's Cooking every time a week, because of course Kozibear's Cooking is only held once a week. We actually have 2 different snacks that we got to taste today, so you know what? Let's do one of those installments right now. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander Kazina, and it is time for another round of Snacks and Collation, where I taste all manner of unusual international snacks so you don't have to. Because it is the final episode of Season 3 of Kozibear's Cooking, I got 2 snacks that I got to show you. To Hazel in the chat, what snacks do I have? Unfortunately, one of those snacks is going to have to remain hidden for the time being, but the other snack that we're going to be tasting is a cereal called Chocapic. I saw this sitting on the shelves of the same European market near Stoughton Metro Station in Montreal, where I got most of the other snacks that I ate on this past season of Kozibear's Cooking. And the moment I saw it, I knew that this was something unique that I was going to have to give a taste test for. All of the instructions on the box seem to be either in a mixture of German and or Italian. The back of the box is like pretty much incomprehensible to me, but I think I kind of get a grasp of what it's saying. I think basically what it's getting at is that, hey, this is like a cereal made with like natural organic grains and natural ingredients. There's like distinctly a picture of like a spoon that's holding up some like raw cocoa powder. So I'm pretty sure that's what it's getting at. Point is, it's a chocolate cereal called Chocapics, and it has a dog mascot, so I'm trusting that this will be right up our alley. Let's go ahead, let's get all the other things that we're going to need to properly taste test this. We are going to be drinking this with a little bit of oat milk, because we have an oat milk carton in our fridge that we need to use up. Oh, thank you oh so much. To Hazel for the follow, very much appreciate it. Because you followed, I'm going to go ahead and put one more wheel spin on the prize wheel of causality. If you can just give me a moment. There we go. So we'll be getting to that as soon as we are done with this particular segment. All right. Oh, we need a spoon as well. I have our bowl, but I forgot to get ourselves a spoon. Here we go. All right, let's open up our box. See what bouquet of smell is waiting for us. Doesn't really taste as chocolatey as you might hope it would. They look interesting. They're very shiny. Like their shininess reminds me a lot of like the shininess of like a Frosted Flake, for example. Without milk, tasting a couple of them, they're not that bad, but of course we need milk so that we can kind of properly taste how these things come out. I don't know that I would love eating these things just by themselves without the addition of milk, but I mean, I feel like that's true of a lot of other breakfast cereals as well, so no prejudgment just yet. All right. And this here is the cereal, imbued with a generous amount of oat milk. We're gonna do our part and just sort of make sure that everything has been equally covered in oat milk, make sure that it's all kind of nicely soggy as a result of that. We don't want it to sog up too much, but we are just gonna leave it for a moment so that the milk can kind of fully enter in through its cereally pores. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the oat milk back in the fridge. All right, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's take our first bite. Interesting. So, to answer your question, Hazel, they're not balls, they're scoops. They're like if you took like a hollow sphere and you like cut out like a fourth or a fifth of them, basically. It's a little bit, let me, hold on, let me just zoom in real quick. Let me just grab another piece of them real quick. They're like this. They're like when you peel an orange in pieces and you like remove those pieces one at a time. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit disappointed. Now, I've had this particular box of cereal hanging out in my drawer for quite some time, but it does also say that they expire in September of 2022. So, I mean, it can't have gotten that bad. Hello, Doc Squishy Paws. I did 2 wheel spins, and then Hazel gave me a follow. So I still have 4 wheel spins to go, so don't worry. We are A-okay when it comes to additional wheel spins. Let me get another bite into this thing. The thing is, it doesn't taste bad, but it's not quite doing it for me as much as I thought it would. Now, I don't know what it is. You know, I discussed earlier how the back of the packaging for this particular cereal box really emphasized that it's, you know, a very organically made cereal, how, you know, it's made with actual cocoa powder. Thank you for the subscription. Let me go ahead and add 3 more wheel spins to the wheel spin count, which I'll have to get to at some point. Yeah, it's not that they're chocolatey enough, it's just I think their chocolatey flavor is a little bit too natural tasting. I think that when I think about some of the like all-time great chocolatey cereals, I think about cereals where the chocolatiness of them is very, like, it is pungently, like, just pungently, unnaturally chocolatey, and this one goes for the natural route, and I think that it's worse off because of that. And now all we have left is a little bit of the chocolate milk. Thank you, XHK, for the follow as well. It's another addition to the wheel spin counter. Finally, we're gonna have to complete the 3rd act structure, which means that we are gonna have to drink the milk. Milk was okay, not that bad, not that good. The milk looks more painted than with other cereal. I mean, from my perspective, it kind of looked how I feel like most other chocolate milk looks like when you eat like a chocolatey cereal, but maybe what you're seeing is just a difference of the fact that I used oat milk as opposed to regular milk. All right, I gotta be totally honest, this one didn't really do it for me. I was expecting big things out of a cereal called Choc-A-Pic, and I feel like it didn't quite hit those high expectations. I'm gonna have to give this one a 4. I'm sorry. I wish I could give it something higher than that, but the moment I put my first spoon of cereal into my mouth, that was a number that immediately came to mind, and I feel like having had an entire bowl of this stuff, I don't feel like there's anything else that's coming to mind. So for that reason, we are going to have to end this with a 4 out of 10. All right. Before I spin something from the wheel spin of causality, because we need to get around to that, I'm gonna just go ahead and grab myself a quick glass of water. There's a lot more sugar in store for the rest of this stream, and I just want to have something that is completely normal and neutral. In fact, actually, I'm just gonna bring the pitcher of water back into the kitchen, because I might have some more of it later on. All right. Let's go ahead and let's spin a couple times from the prize wheel of causality. One, two, and three. Oh, Bionicle book time. That means that we're reading a little bit more from Bionicle Chronicles #1. And by the way, thank you, Hazel. For the record, it should be noted that I did quite a bit of cleanup in my kitchen ahead of today's stream. I always do a cleanup in my kitchen ahead of all of my streams. Because, of course, I want to leave the best possible impression before I start cooking in here. But thank you all the same. Let's go ahead and let's grab Bionicle Chronicles #1 and pick back up where we last left Kopaka, the Toa of Fire. He groaned. Why couldn't the mask have been guarded by another Rahi instead? Or 2, or 12? He would rather face all the Rahi on Matanui at once than have to deal with this. Makuta showed quite a sense of humor when he hid these masks, he thought grimly. But I'll have the last laugh, no matter what it takes. Pointing his ice blade at the lagoon, Kopaka focused his energy. Zzz! A small patch of lava froze for about half a second. Then the ice cracked, steam escaped, and a moment later the frozen section had melted back into its original fiery form. Kopaka frowned and tried again, but his efforts yielded little effect. Time for a new plan, he thought. If I can't go straight across, maybe I can go over. Changing his focus, he concentrated on the seam in the air over the lagoon. He aimed his ice blade towards it. Zzz! The particles of moisture in the air froze solid, forming together into an icy bridge reaching over the first section of the lagoon. Zzz! Zzz! Kopaka felt his energy draining as he pointed his blade again and again. But when he was finished, he smiled with triumph. His ice bridge stretched all the way across the lagoon to the island. Now all I have to do is go get that mask, he thought, stepping onto the near end of the bridge. He hurried a few steps, then paused. What was that sound? Drip. Tss. Drip. Tss. Drip. Tss. Glancing down, he saw with alarm that the bridge was already melting away. No, he cried, pointing his blade towards it to refreeze it. But it was no use. As fast as he could refreeze one section, another melted. Within seconds, the middle part of the bridge collapsed into the lagoon. Kopaka barely had time to leap back to shore as his section of the bridge collapsed too. That's all for Bionicle Chronicles #1 for now, until the prize wheel of causality lands on it again. All right, let's do another wheel spin. One, 2, and 3. Hot sauce shot. I thought that today's stream was going to be featuring almost exclusively tasty, delicious, sweet dishes, but alas, we gotta go and do ourselves a shot of hot sauce before we get around to the rest of the stuff that this stream has in store for us. Let's go ahead. I grabbed my little shot glass over here. I did not bring any hot sauce out onto the counter ahead of time, so let's go ahead and let's grab some of that stuff real quick. Also, I just had a little bit of oat milk ahead of time. Now, oat milk and hot sauce don't pair like badly together, but like something gives me a feeling that I'm gonna have a little bit of an upset stomach from this. Something gives me a feeling. Okay. Without further ado, Bottoms up. All right, let me grab some extra water real quick. Gotta flush out my system. I don't think I've ever done a stream in which I've had to do 2 hot sauce shots in a row, or at least over the course of the same stream. The sauce was Cholula Sweet Habanero, which makes it sound that it's like not got that much bite, but let me tell you, when you have a shot of this stuff, it stings. It stings. All right, let's go ahead. We will do one more wheel spin for now, which will get our remaining count at 5. And then we will shift over to preparing some other stuff ahead of time. Yeah, I only recently discovered Cholula for these streams, actually, and I've quite enjoyed it, heat aside. Durian candy, my old nemesis. This is where I indulge in a durian candy. Whew. Let me tell you, durian the fruit, real stinky, real disgusting. Durian candy, not as bad, because at least you have that little bit of sweetness, and it also doesn't taste, it tastes bad, but it doesn't smell that bad, so the scent isn't really like influencing your taste all that much and making it that much worse. It's not multiplying the awfulness of the experience, but still not great. I am both burpy and my mouth is still a little bit on fire, which is not a good combination. All right, so this is what the durian candy looks like if you've never seen it before. Hot sauce and durian, a nightmarish combination. That's a good point, Dr. Squishy Paws. Let me actually, to that point, where is it? Here we go. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm going to drink a little bit more water just so I can get a little bit of the spiciness out of my mouth. All right, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna have ourselves some durian candy. It still really sucks. Hazel in the chat says there's another one called El Yucateco. Interesting. Salt helps. I'll keep that in mind for the future. All right, without further ado, let's get into the next part of the stream, which is going to be melting some of these dark chocolate wafers. The plan is that we're going to cover this waffle bowl in the melted dark chocolate. We're probably going to do is we're probably going to put it upside down like this, and we will like slowly pour the dark chocolate over it so it covers every sort of side of it. And then I have these stroop waffles over here, which I'm going to dip halfway into the dark chocolate as well. So we have a lot going on. But first things first, we actually have to melt our dark chocolate. So let's get around to that. I'm just gonna go ahead, I decided to microwave it for 30 seconds. See how long that takes us. See how melty it gets because of that, and then we will continue to melt it in like additional 30-second increments. No, these waffle bowls were actually pre-bought in their current form. I'll show you the packaging that they originally came in. I'd love someday to kind of like figure out how to make cool little waffle creations like this, but alas, I did not make it like that. All right. Okay, so not a whole lot of melting going on. Give me just a quick second. I'm gonna grab a hot plate just so we can always have this on the counter. But if you go to the bottom, you can see that some of them are already starting to melt. That's because these wafers are made with melting in mind. All right, let's go ahead and let's melt it for another 30 seconds. This time I'm going to do 35 seconds, actually. All right. You know, I was pretty disappointed by the taste of Choc-A-Pic earlier on, but without giving anything away, the other cereal that I have prepared for when I do my second round of snacks and collation later, I think will slay. I think that this cereal that I have prepared for the second round of snacks and collation will absolutely slay. So I'm looking forward to when I can do that. All right, so as you can see, thanks to the 35 seconds that we put this thing in the microwave for, our chocolate is getting a lot more melty than how it was previously. Just making sure that all of the chocolate wafers are covered in the melted chocolate so that they can all kind of like melt a little bit more quickly. However, I do think I will need to put this in the microwave just one more time, just so that we can really get that melt factor on as much as possible. This time around, I'm going to do 24 seconds, see if that's enough. I'm thinking it probably will be enough, but we'll see. We're already adding a little bit of chocolate on this thing, but we're going to want to put a little bit more. By the way, the durian candy is still in my mouth, unfortunately. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. All right, here we go. All right, looks like that's all pretty nicely melted. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to begin applying the chocolate as was originally planned. First things first, hello to Moonson, and hello to, oh, sorry, my mistake. I thought underneath Moonson was somebody new joining the chat, but it was just Hazel. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to start by kind of dipping our chocolate into these things. You know what? It's a little bit, I was kind of hoping that I would get like more of a deeper dip. Let's get a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to let the kind of chocolate drip off a little bit. And then once we've let enough chocolate drip off, we'll kind of put them over here on the edge of this plate that we have prepared and just gonna let it do its thing. Okay. takes a little while for these things to dry out and for the chocolate to harden, we can always put this plate in the fridge. Okay. We want to have a bunch of extras, so we're going to do 4 of these dipped in chocolate. By the way, if you found this stream because you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts 4 and you're excited about... sorry, let me rephrase that. If you found this stream because you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts and you're excited about the recent announcement of Kingdom Hearts 4, I just want to say welcome once again, even if I already previously welcomed you. I gotta say, I am quite excited for the weird, wacky-ass direction they're taking the series in with Kingdom Hearts 4. And hopefully, they said that Kingdom Hearts 4 is not going to be showing up at E3, but I have faith that we'll probably see it once more, at least before the end of the year. So, here's hoping we'll be able to see it relatively soon and it won't take an eternity and a half. You could add nut in the cookie. Oh, that's an interesting idea. I don't have any like nuts immediately on hand though that I'd want to dip the cookie into, but that's actually a cool idea. I didn't really think about that. Okay. How am I going to do this? Let's see. If I like just dip this thing in and I kind of like, there we go. Because I also want a little bit of chocolate to fall into the bowl as well. And so if I do this, I think we'll get what we're going for. Okay. The only thing is that if I look on the sides are not as covered in chocolate as I'd like, but if I just go around with a spoon, I can apply enough chocolate, at least as much as I need, on the sides, and I should be good. There we go. Let me just wash my hands real quick before I manage this thing. Doc Squishy Paws says, I wonder how heavy-handed Disney will be on Square Enix about the use of MCU characters. I mean, I can totally see a reality where there are no MCU characters at all in Kingdom Hearts 4. And I can see a reality where there are some. It's worth pointing out, you know, the cast of Big Hero 6 previously were a Marvel comic book. I know that, like, you know, that's like a very kind of edge case example of Marvel being in the Kingdom Hearts universe, but that is technically Marvel, if we want to count that. A second. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I'm just trying to make sure that we, you know, all right. Gotta love the taste of hot chocolate and a durian candy inside your mouth. All right, with that taken care of, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add a little bit of additional melted chocolate to the bottom of the bowl. Just because we wanna allow the ice cream that we're gonna put inside the bowl to be propped up just a little bit. And also, you gotta love like the taste of like a solid bit of chocolate at the bottom of your ice cream. I mean, when you're eating one of those drumstick ice creams, the chocolate that's like at the bottom of the cone is pretty much the best part. Okay. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys. I know this is being a little bit piggish, but I don't want the chocolate that is still left in this bowl to go to waste. So I think I guess I might as well dip one more of these things in the chocolate, and then I will scoop up the rest of the chocolate with the final stroopwafel that I have waiting over here to the side. Perhaps a few bits of salt to go on the chocolate. You know what? I'll add just a few little bits to the bottom of this bowl over here. Just a few. Now, where do I want to put this guy? I'm trying to think. I guess I can put him like here if he doesn't touch any of the other ones. There we go. Let's put the salt at the bottom of the thing before I forget. Also, the chocolate isn't perfectly level there, which is a bit of a problem. Here we go. There we go, that makes it a little bit more level. All right, just a tiny bit. There we go, that's our sea salt. Sorry, I'm just crunching through the rest of the durian candy so we don't have to deal with it any longer. So the sea salt ice cream is currently resting here inside the fridge. We basically made the first part of that particular recipe. We're going to bring it out at some point, and we're going to add coloring and additional flavoring agents to it. So you missed, I mean, the first part of the ice cream's creation, but not all of it. It's really piggish of me to do so, so I'm only gonna have one last spoonful of chocolate, and then I will move on to dealing with the rest of the things that we have over here. All right. Okay, so it seems like the chocolate is cooling pretty well on all of the things that we have over here. I originally thought that maybe we might have to put these things in the fridge or the freezer to allow the chocolate to kind of fully harden, but I don't think that might even be necessary. So with that taken care of, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put this thing with the additional waffle bowls back into this cupboard over here. If I can fit it back in this cupboard, that is. I'm gonna grab myself a glass. I'm gonna pour myself a little bit more water. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna bring up the wheel spin cam, and we're gonna spin the wheel a couple more times. 1, 2, and 3. Oh no, just when I got rid of it. Why do I have to eat another durian candy? All right, here we go. Durian candy time, number 2. It's been quite some time since we've had to eat 2 of these things on stream. I believe also, if I recall correctly, that I actually set up a rule for myself that I can't have more than 2 of these. Now, it is also the season finale, so maybe I might want to bend the rule. I'll see. If I happen to spin the wheel again and we land on another durian candy spot, I'll decide then and there. Maybe it will be. Maybe it will be better after chocolate. Or maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, it's still not great. All right, let's go ahead and let's spin the wheel again. 1, 2, and 3. 10 push-ups. This is where, pretty self-explanatory. Your boy has got to do 10 push-ups. Give me just a second so I can tuck in my pants real nice like this. All right. Let's go ahead. I'm going to bring the push-up camera in. There we go. And let's do it. Ooh. Sorry for the burp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh. I'm tired. Let's wash our hands real quick before we forget, because the floor is quite dirty and we're still going to be handling quite a bit of food. Actually, you know what? While we're still at the sink, before I forget, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to actually soak the bowl that the chocolate was inside of, just because we don't want the chocolate to harden in the bowl, because that will just make it more difficult to clean later on. If I soak it now, that'll make the process of cleaning it a little bit easier. Perfect. Okay. Whew. It took a lot of energy out of me, but I think I have energy for one more wheel spin. So let's go ahead and let's do just that. One, 2, and 3. Durian candy time. I already have a durian candy inside my mouth right now, and I'm not really down to put 2 durian candies inside my mouth. If you guys in the chat, if you guys that are watching live right now really want me to eat 2 durian candies at once, I'll consider it, but if that's not something that you're particularly interested in seeing, if that's not a monstrosity that you want wrought upon this world, yeah, Moonsun, I think, kind of echoes my own thoughts. It's time for a reroll. All right, 1, 2, and 3. Bionicle book time. All right, I can definitely live with that. Let me go ahead and let me prepare the proper camera view for that. There had to be an answer. Turning the challenge over in his mind, Kopaka searched through his options. Finally, he had to admit the only likely solution: the other Toa. If Tahu were here, he would have no trouble retrieving that mask, Kopaka thought reluctantly. He shook his head, annoyed at himself. Why waste thought on a solution that wouldn't work? He had found 2 masks already without help from the other Toa. He could find a way to get this one without them as well. As he wandered towards the end of the little beach, Kopaka noticed a plume of steam coming from a crack in the rocky wall behind him. Unlike the sooty, smoky steam hovering over the lagoon itself, this steam looked pale and calm. Curious, Kopaka climbed up the rocky wall for a look. He soon discovered a hot water spring bubbling up from the depths of the mountain. Interesting, he muttered. He glanced out towards the island where the mask lay, measuring the distance with his eyes. Then he stared again into the steaming spring. An idea was forming in his mind. He analyzed the information again and again. The depth and size of the spring, the distance to the island, the probable heat of the lava. Still, he couldn't quite convince himself that it would work. Sorry, hold on a sec. I got a little confused. There's a sentence a few sentences ago that says the probable heat of the lava, and this sentence begins with the probability. I got them confused and I jumped back a sentence. Let's redo this. Still, he couldn't quite convince himself that it would work. The probability was fairly high, but nothing was certain. Kopaka clenched his fists as he imagined Tahu's mocking laughter, Liwa's perplexed glance. Neither of them would have the patience to waste so much time worrying over probabilities. Perhaps just this once he should live by their example. Besides, it's this or nothing, Kopaka reminded himself. Of that, he was 100% certain. Not giving himself time to doubt his decision, Kopaka pointed his blade. Zzz! The spring froze solid. And that is all for Bionicle Chronicles number 1 for now. With that taken care of, let's go ahead and let's just quickly check up on our pre-frozen ice cream mixture. We were supposed to put this thing in the fridge so that it would cool down. If I just dip my finger into it real nicely, still feel like it could be a little bit cooler. So you know what let's do? Let's go ahead and let's do our second Snacks and Collation segment with our second cereal. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the same bowl that I used previously for the Choc-A-Pic, and of course our beloved oat milk. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander Kazina, and we have come to the final Snacks and Collation segment for Kozibear's Cooking Season 3. And oh boy, do I have something exciting for the finale for Snacks and Collation on this particular season. This is Lion cereal. Underneath it, as you can see, it says caramel and chocolate because this is the particular flavor of this kind of Lion cereal. I gotta love, if you look on the back of the box, it says hashtag Lion Style, which of course you can share on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the other social media platforms where Lion Style is currently a thing. I have been holding back on this particular cereal for quite some time. Again, like all the other snacks I've tasted on this season of Kozibear's Cooking, I purchased this at the European Foods Market that is near Snowdon Metro Station here in Montreal. Like the Choc-A-Pic cereal, all the instructions on this thing are in a combination of, I believe, Italian and German. It's not particularly legible. Here's what I can tell you though. Lion is actually a brand of candy bar that you can actually purchase at some Greek or like international foods grocery stores here in Montreal. And I actually really love Lion candy bars. So if this cereal is as good as the Lion candy bars, I think we're in for a good time. Let's go ahead and let's dig right into this thing. Okay, interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the cereal that we're dealing with here. The best way I can describe these things is basically if you took like candy rocks and he made them into a cereal. It's like these little bunches of like cereal matter that like had a little bit of like volume to them. They're weird. Tastes okay in my mouth, but of course we'll need to, apply the real test and add them to some milk. I'm just gonna go ahead real quick and deposit the durian candy from my mouth so we don't have to deal with that anymore. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's pour ourselves another bowl of cereal. Again, I really appreciate the shape of these things. They look unlike any other cereal out there. Like last time, we're going to want to make sure that all of the bits of cereal are kind of properly hydrated by the milk. And then we're going to just want to leave them for just a minute or so that they can properly kind of moisten up. Not so that they can become soggy, but so that the milk can fully kind of infect their cereal-esque pores. If that makes any sense. All right, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's bite right into a bowl of Lion. Okay, so right off the bat, this stuff is better than Choc-A-Pic. There is a kind of dimension to its taste that definitely leaves a much better impression than what that cereal provided. And honest to God, I feel like the caramel half of the chocolate and caramelness of this cereal is pulling a lot of the heavyweight here because, to be totally honest, the chocolatey part of it feels very similar to the chocolate from the Choc-A-Pic. Hold on, I'm just gonna put this back in the fridge. Let me go ahead, let me just have a little bit more. Okay. Don't worry. Something almost went down the wrong pipe, but we are okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Earlier, I praised the shape of the little Lion cereal bite. I said that I appreciated how it kind of looked like a piece of rock candy if you made that out of cereal matter. I appreciated how it had a little bit of volume to it. Now, actually eating a bunch of them at once, I don't know if I appreciate their form factor all that much because they're actually like surprisingly durable and surprisingly difficult to get through. And it's not that great of a time to eat through them. They're not the worst, but they're not as great as they could have been. But the sogginess of the cereal is definitely helping in that regard, so. Just a couple more spoonfuls and we will be done. Okay. I feel bad doing this, but I gotta give these guys a 7. Now, 7 is not a bad score. 7 is good. 7 is totally solid, totally decent. But I had really high hopes for Lion cereal. I thought this could be potentially one of the best cereals of this entire season, and I feel like it didn't quite live up to expectations. Moonson says, Captain Crunch levels of hardness. See, that's the thing. Like, I've had Captain Crunch before. I feel like Captain Crunch is hard, but I feel like it's also very kind of airy. These cereal pieces were not airy. They were like very kind of hard and very kind of, like, I feel like these things are almost like a distant like cousin of grape nuts, to like use a point of comparison. Like they were just, these were like almost like biting through like a very soft rock. Whereas when I think about Captain Crunch, I think about something again that's almost like biting through a very hard sponge, if that makes any sense. Again, not bad. If you see these in your local foods market, if they so happen to have this stocked, give it a shot. It's not the worst, but I had really high hopes for this cereal, and I had really high hopes for Choc-A-Pic, and I feel like they didn't quite live up to expectations. All right. That is that for Snacks and Collations on this stream. Let's go ahead and let's get back on track. I think that we have left our ice cream in the fridge for long enough, so we will get back to where we were previously with that particular recipe. So after putting our mixture in the fridge to cool, we're going to bring it out of the fridge and we're going to add cream and vanilla to it. So this is a mixture that we previously made using eggs, milk, sugar, and basically that was pretty much it. Let me go ahead and let me grab our mixture that has been resting inside the fridge. We basically made it into almost kind of like a custardy kind of like texture, and then we added a little bit of salt and beat some eggs and added that to it as well. Now we got to go ahead and we got to measure for ourselves a cup of heavy whipping cream. There should be exactly like a cup of the stuff left in here, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, just a little bit more. All right, perfecto. And now we gotta also add in our vanilla as well. Gotta add in full teaspoon of the stuff. We don't need to use our vanilla anymore on this particular stream, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the vanilla back in the cabinet from whence it came for the time being. All right, let me go ahead and let me just grab a spoon that we can use. Oh, nope, sorry, I thought there was a spoon over there. Or maybe, yeah, here we go. I'm just going to reuse, this is the spoon that we were using earlier on when we were mixing up our milk custard mixture over the stove. I'm just going to clean off a little bit of the detritus that's on it, and there we go. We can continue to use this. Hold on a second, I need to bring my recipe instructions back up. All right, let's go ahead, let's add our cream and our vanilla. All right, get a little bit more of our cream in here from the measuring cup that we used. We're gonna really kind of mix it up well so that we can kind of incorporate a lot of the frothiness of the mixture into the rest of its kind of milkiness. I'm thinking that we might actually need to use a colander though to get rid of some of its foam, because I don't think that stuff is gonna freeze or taste super good. We shall see. All right, now that we're at this point in the process, we're ready to add a little bit of our food coloring. The original recipe instructions call for us to use 3 drops of green food coloring and 12 drops of blue food coloring. However, we have the kind of food coloring that you can't really drop into whatever it is that you're making. You kind of got to use a toothpick, so we'll play it by eye. I'm going to go ahead. Actually, let's add the green in first, because we only need to add in a little bit of green. And then from there, we can kind of add as much blue as we feel like we need. Even if the ice cream was like just this particular shade of green that you can see before you, I'd still eat it, but what color am I trying to make? So to bring up like a reference image of the ice cream over here, as you can see, the original way that sea salt ice cream appears in the Kingdom Hearts series is very kind of serene sky blue. We're making something that's a little bit more like aquamarine, something that's a little bit between blue and green. I'm actually going to add just a tiny little bit more, actually, of green stuff to this. Because I do want to make sure that the green is emphasized enough. And then after we feel like the green is emphasized enough, I'll switch back over to our blue. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's begin adding our blue. Let's actually make this thing begin to look like how it appears in the games. Okay, there we go. There we go. We're getting somewhere. This is almost what I want. Actually, we added quite a bit of food coloring when we dropped that stuff in, so if I just mix it up a little bit more, I think we'll get what we need without needing to add any more blue in. Yeah, you know what? I think this is actually just right. I think this is actually just what I wanted to go for here. So I'm just going to continue to mix it up just a little bit longer, just to make sure that all the additional little bits of blueness that I mixed in here get properly incorporated. And I think we will be good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put these toothpicks away, which I was using previously for the food coloring. So we got no need for them again. Okay, let's go ahead and put this into a Tupperware container so that it can be frozen. Now, normally I would have used my ice cream maker at this point in the creation process of the ice cream to freeze it. However, I used up my ice cream maker during prep for today's stream, so I wasn't able to use it a second time. So we're just gonna straightforwardly freeze it and hope for the best. I think it'll still come out pretty good considering how fluffy we made the egg whites when we were in the process of making this. Now the one thing is that, as you can see, the mixture has a kind of texture, a foaminess to it that we don't particularly want. So we're going to be using this colander, as I previously discussed, to get a lot of that icky texture out of it. And I'll use this little... Damn it. Just when I went to go and check up on something on my laptop, I had to sneeze that much. Let me just wash my hands real quick. Important to do so whenever you sneeze. There we go. All right. Sorry. We'll be using this scraping device, is what I originally meant to say, to kind of like get all this stuff into our Tupperware container so that we can make sweet, delicious ice cream out of it. Okay, so very carefully, what we're just going to do is we're just going to scrape around the colander. And that will allow us to get the kind of like more tougher things out of the way. That will allow more of the ice cream mixture, the pure ice cream mixture, that doesn't have any bits or lumps inside of it, to end up inside the Tupperware container. It's a little bit of a roundabout process, but I did it previously before the stream and it worked out a-okay there, and so I'm trusting that it will work out a-okay now. Just be patient with me, and I will get us through this particular section lickety-split. By the way, so this is the conclusion of Season 3 of Kozibear's Cooking. At some point in the future, I would like to come back with a Season 4 of Kozibear's Cooking, maybe something that's a little bit smaller and more kind of contained than what this season has been. But I'm thinking that it's probably going to be a little while before I come back with said season. In the meantime, I have been meaning to stream more video games again. Back in 2019, when I first started streaming, and in 2020, I streamed video games on this channel pretty often. And I am down to stream more video games again, albeit maybe in a bit of a different way than before. Previously, I just kind of streamed whatever was on my mind, whatever I felt like streaming, and I feel like it didn't really kind of get me anywhere all that fast. Once I began doing these cooking streams, things kind of picked up for me a little bit more. If y'all would be down for it, I would be more than down to kind of like figure out a new kind of video gamey path for this channel in the future. I don't think I'll be streaming on this channel over the course of the next week. I think I'm going to want to take some time off from streaming, because preparing for these cooking streams has been a pretty intensive process. But I think after that, I might get back around to it. Maybe during weekdays, maybe like on Mondays or Tuesdays. Probably not Wednesdays, because Wednesdays are when I do Press YZ, which is the video game podcast I do. You can check it out at twitch.tv/PressYZ. But other days of the week, I might stream some peculiar video game things that will be interesting for me and hopefully for you guys as well. If you'd be down to do so, let me know. I'm thinking that I'll probably incorporate some things that I incorporated into Kozibear's Cooking over the course of the past several seasons. So for example, definitely we'll probably incorporate the wheel spin of causality in some fashion, because I think this thing right over here has been a very successful part of my streams over the course of the past little while. All right, let's go ahead. We are going to apply this cover to it. We're going to put this thing in the freezer. And before we move on to the next segment of this stream, I'm just going to very quickly rinse some of the stuff that I just put inside the sink so that we don't have to clean it as vigorously later on. So this thing has been cleaned, the colander, cleaning as well, and the bowl that the mixture was inside of gets a nice little thorough cleaning of its own. All right, perfecto. Whew. Let me just wash my hands real quick. Okay, so we have prepared our ice cream. It's gone in the freezer, and now we gotta wait 3 or 4 hours for it to be ready. Joke's on you, we actually don't have to wait any time at all because, as I previously discussed, I did a rehearsal of this stream ahead of time, and during that rehearsal, I made a batch of sea salt ice cream already prepared and ready to go. Ta-da! This is the finished product. As you can see, it is frozen tight like a rock, and it is ready to be scooped out for today's stream. I'm actually going to just very quickly put this back in the freezer because I want to check up on some of the other things that we are going to be using with this ice cream, namely our Stroop waffles and our little waffle bowl. Ooh, the magic of TV. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I was actually quite impressed with the color that I got on my first batch I made ahead of time. So it seems like the chocolate melted very nicely in all the Stroop waffles. I've got no real complaints here. The only thing is that, as you know, I put a lot of chocolate at the bottom of the waffle bowl, and I don't think that seems like a lot of the chocolate at the bottom of the bowl, oh shit, and on the other bottom of the bowl did not really, freeze all that well. All right. I'm gonna just temporarily move the Stroop waffles over here. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna, we gotta hightail how quickly we can freeze this stuff. So I'm just gonna go ahead and real quick, let me grab, you know what, I know what to do. Give me a second. I did not mean to drop some of the chocolate out of the bowl like that, so I'm just gonna grab a small spoon. I'm gonna try to scoop that chocolate back in. There we go. By the way, it was a good decision to put sea salt at the bottom of that chocolate because I tasted a little bit of it when it fell out and it tasted good. It tasted quite good. But you know what? Because some of it got out, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just sprinkle a little bit more sea salt to the bottom. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put this in the freezer just so that it can like freeze up as quickly as we need it to freeze up. Just being very careful. And while that is doing its thing, let's go ahead and let's take care of the final 2 wheel spins. All right, 1, 2, and 3. All right. Clearly, the universe is telling me something by constantly landing on durian candy, so let's go ahead and let's eat a third one of these. I really do. Next time I bring the wheel spin back into one of my future streams, I really do need to enforce a rule that states that I can only do this 2 times per stream because 3 times is too much. Yeah, it still sucks. What's amazing is that I've been doing this for like a year and a half eating durian candies, and there are still a ton of durian candies left in like the durian candy bowl that I set up for them. It's too much, too much. All right, and without further ado, let's go ahead And let's do our final wheel spin for now. 1, 2, and 3. Whew, Bionicle book time. All right. Doc Squishy Paws says palate cleanser is in order to not sully the taste of the ice cream and chocolate. It's definitely a good point. I'll have to think about that. For now, though, let's read a little bit from Bionicle Chronicles #1. Kopaka smiled. As he had suspected, the water in the spring had been much cooler than the lava. Now came the hard part, getting the miniature iceberg out of its hollow and down the slope to the lagoon. Little by little, Kopaka froze and then chipped away the outer wall of the hollow until all he had to do was push the large chunk of ice straight out over the edge. There was no time to waste. The lava was already eating away at the edges of the ice floe. Without hesitating, Kopaka leaped down onto the ice. Using his blade as a paddle, he rowed towards the island with all his might. The ice continued to melt, but Kopaka kept his gaze focused on the goal. By the time he reached the rocky little ledge, his ice boat had melted away to about half its original size. More than half, Kopaka told himself as he leaped onto the island and scooped up his mask. It's still more than half there. That will be enough, especially with the added strength of my new canoe to help me row. He jammed the mask of strength over his face, feeling its power seep through him. Still, he hesitated as he stepped back onto the floe. It had taken him almost as long to row back to shore as it had taken him to get here. Would that ice last just as long? Just go, he chided himself. There's no other choice. Jabbing his blade into the lava, Kopaka put all the strength of his new mask into his effort as he pushed away from the island. I'll make it, he told himself firmly, squashing the thought. Whatever it takes, I'll do it. If the floe melts away too soon, maybe I can freeze enough of the lava to hop across the rest of the way a step at a time. Or, as he jabbed his blade into the lava again, he misjudged and hit the edge of the floe instead. The force of the blow sent several large chunks of ice flying, one straight towards him. The ice toa didn't have time to dodge it. And that is all for Bionicle Chronicles #1. You'll have to tune into my next stream to find out just how Kopaka, the Toa of Ice, got himself out of that predicament. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's see if our things have frozen up enough inside the freezer. Seems like our chocolate is almost frozen. Let me just grab the ice cream first. Also, let me grab a nice plate that I'll be assembling this ice cream on. Here we go. This is a nice plate. It's a nice black and white plate. We typically use it for nice functions here in our household. What spoon are we going to use to scoop this stuff out? Well, this should not be in here. I'm trying to think. I do have this scooping spoon, but I found it doesn't always work as well as it could. But I guess we'll use it for now, and if that doesn't work out, we can also use this spoon as well. Okay. Oh. Better get the licorice sticks prepared as well. Let me just quickly look up something on my phone. There we go. All right, perfect. You'll understand why I had to look up something on my phone in just a minute. Okay. Without further ado, let's get our bowl out of the freezer. Seems like all the chocolate in and around it has solidified pretty nicely. There we go. I'm thinking this will probably, this will probably be the side that we want to show. Okay. Without further ado, let's bring in the counter view so we can have a better view of the action. Oh, this stuff is, I'm kind of surprised by how kind of pillowy and smooth this stuff is. We want to put a nice big chunk of this ice cream in here so that we have a nice sort of sphere to work with. And we also want to make it as like spherical as possible. So that it looks like a kind of like globe jutting out of its chocolatey underworld. Tastes good on my hands. Let me just grab something real quick. I'm gonna just do some very kind of quick sculpting with my spoon here, just so that we can kind of get a, again, nice spherical ice cream shape as originally desired. It's not going to be perfect, but if I use this plastic bag as like a buffer, I bet I can smooth it out a little bit with my hands like such. Did a very similar thing the last time I worked with ice cream when I made Fanfare's spicy ice cream a couple of streams ago. Okay. I think that's about as good as we're gonna get it. Yeah, it's not, the problem is that shape-wise, it's not perhaps as spherical as I was hoping it would be, but I feel like in terms of smoothness, I got it pretty good. I got it pretty good, at least for the front-facing part. That's the part that's most important. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna put this back in the freezer. We'll see. I don't think that they're gonna necessarily overpower each other all that much. I think it'll work out a-okay. All right, next step, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add ourselves a couple of mouse ears to this culinary creation that we're bringing together. I think this ear looks pretty good for the right. There we go. Almost looks like a dead mouse ear, like less like a Mickey ear and more like a dead mouse ear. Don't worry, I'll show you a dead-on view of this when I'm done putting these things in. All right, there we go. So let me just, I'm gonna bring that camera down and just show you a close-up view of what we're working with so far. Now, you're probably looking at that thinking, okay, that looks pretty cool. That looks pretty cool, but couldn't you make it a little bit more Kingdom Heartsy? You're most definitely right. Let me just give me a quick little second just to build up a little bit of the ice cream in the back so that there we go. These ears aren't falling over just yet. I might want to put it back in the freezer temporarily though, so that I can ensure that it doesn't, how do you say, so that it doesn't like completely droop over by accident. Now I'm taking a couple of the little pieces of licorice. I'm just gonna bend them ever so nicely like this. You're probably wondering now, why are you bending the licorice like that? Well, you'll understand in just a second. If you're a Kingdom Hearts fan by trade, you might have an idea of what I'm currently going for. Yeah, I think you might know what I'm going for, but let me add one more little detail that I think will fully kind of sell what I'm going for here. Now I'm going to try this with the yellow gel first, and if that doesn't work, we got some yellow pieces of chocolate that we can work with. This is going to be a little bit tough, more difficult than I would have anticipated. Problem is that the yellow stuff is beginning to droop down, so I think I'm going to have to remove it. Let me just, is there no, and there is no paper towels anymore in this kitchen. None to be found. Crap, what can I use? I guess I can use a little bit of this paper. Give me a quick second. I'll be right back. There we go. Just very carefully, I'm going to try to remove as much of this yellow stuff as I can. There we go. Okay, that didn't really work out, but we have a backup plan, and that backup plan are these little yellow pieces of chocolate, which I previously teased way earlier in the stream. So let's go ahead, let's bring in this cutting board. I'm actually not certain if we even need to kind of cut these things up all that much. So we'll see. Let's see if I just, oh no, I don't even need to cut these up at all. All right, well, I'll just apply a little bit of the same gel to the back of them so that they will stick to the thing, and I think we'll be good. Not a lot, just a little bit. I'm just gonna hold it there for a few seconds so that it really kind of sticks on to the best that I am able to make it stick on. There we go. Now, what I appreciated about it is that, like, from one perspective, you'll look at it and think, oh, this is like, it's like Mickey Mouse's little buttons, but actually, viewed from another perspective, it's a certain Kingdom Hearts character that you might be very familiar with, particularly from the early days of the Kingdom Hearts series. Give me just a second. I think I might need to put it in the freezer for a quick little second, but just to show you what I'm currently going for. Ta-da! So yes, it is indeed one of the shadows from the Kingdom Hearts series. Not bad, huh? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to conclude my culinary creation by just putting a couple of sprinkles on top of it. Like such. Let me just bring the counter view in so you can sort of see my work in action a little bit better. There we go. And I'll just put a little bit, put like a ring of them around the sides. There we go. All right. Let me just give you one last look at this bad boy. Ta-da! Pretty good, no? I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna put this thing temporarily in the freezer because I wanna take photographs of it before I close out tonight's stream, or rather after I close out the stream, I should say. But before I conclude the stream proper, I realized that we actually never had a chance to taste how the ice cream came out. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna conclude the stream with a nice little taste test. Still looks delicious, by the way, and I love how soft it came out. All right. I've had a lot of sugar so far on this stream, so I'm not gonna get myself a big piece, just a small little scoop like this. All right. And down the hatch. Pretty good. Pretty good. I will say this. The saltiness of this ice cream's taste definitely doesn't quite come out quite so quickly. It definitely kind of comes out towards the end. It's a little bit more of the aftertaste. And I don't absolutely love the aftertaste, but I mean, that's, you know, what sea salt ice cream is. Certainly a unique flavor, and much like the Kingdom Hearts series, I think that it really stands out in a way that's quite unlike any of its peers. All right. And with that, I think that we've reached the end of Kozibear's Cooking Season 3. Thank you to everybody that tuned in to tonight's stream and everybody that has tuned in to all of the prior episodes leading up to tonight's stream. Kozibear's Cooking Season 3, I'm going to be real with you guys. It was real tough. You know, recently, at the end of 2021, I finally got a day job after being unemployed for a lot of the pandemic. Willfully unemployed, I should point out. I wasn't actively seeking a job until the end of that year. And I've been enjoying my day job. However, it resulted in me having much less time to myself to kind of plan out streams like this. And for that reason, when it came time to planning out Kozibear's Cooking Season 3, it was apparent that the only way I was going to be able to do this season is if I did it on the weekend. And, you know, I've had a lot of fun doing these streams. I've had a lot of fun making the food creations that result from them. But I'd be lying if I said that these streams weren't exhausting. And if all the prep time that goes into preparing these streams and all the kind of like decompressed time that comes after these streams conclude, cleaning up in the kitchen, wasn't a lot. I definitely do want to do a season 4 of Kozibear's Cooking at some point in the future, but I think that when I do it, it's probably going to be a little bit smaller and it's going to be a little bit more of a kind of like focused and to the point experience, maybe even something that doesn't require as much prep time, but something that still exudes quality. So I'm going to have to think that carefully. I really do love doing these streams, but you can't work all 7 days of the week. You need at least one day to yourself, and doing these streams, like, it would always be a great deal of prep on the day of. I did a lot of prep, before I started at 4 p.m. And usually it would also be a fair bit of prep the day before on Saturday, making sure that you have all the ingredients you need. So yeah, I agree, Hazel. I do hope that I can do more streams, cooking streams in the future. I think for now, I'm gonna stick to podcasting and gaming, but definitely don't rule out the possibility of more cooking streams in the future. But until then, my name is Alexander Kazina, and I want you to keep on cooking. Of course, if you want to follow me outside of my streams, you can do so by following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Alex Kazina. That's at ALX. No. Hold on, let me backtrack. This is my one big opportunity to plug my social accounts, and I don't want to screw this up. At ALEXKOZINA. And I want to say once again, thank you to everybody. Hello to Silos. Hello to 00. And once again, thank you to Doc Squishy Paws. Y'all have been great people. Thank you so much. Take care and look forward to more streams.